When he told me I was being replaced, he smiled like a man offering condolences at a funeral. Someone else's funeral. Fresh thinking, he said, leaning back in his leather chair, the Pentagon approval memo still sitting on the table between us. $15 million in federal funding. My life's work, my design, my name on every schematic. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I just nodded, as if his words made sense. As if 12 years of 60-hour weeks could be filed away as legacy. When I stood to leave, he added, "You should be proud. You built the foundation, but legacy approaches won't work anymore." That word, legacy, stuck in my throat like rusted metal. I first met Ethan Keller in a windowless startup lab with flickering lights and borrowed desks. Back then, we were two engineers with the same hunger, to build something that could shield a nation. We slept under desks, coded through dawn, shared cold coffee and impossible dreams. He called me his co-pilot, said he couldn't do it without me. We built a defense AI that could predict and neutralize cyber threats before they struck. We called it Aegis. He handled investors, I handled the code. I trusted him enough not to look too closely at contracts, signatures, or equity shares. Trust, that was my first design flaw. The first sign came quietly. My access to core architecture files was revoked for security compliance. Then came the late-night meetings without me, new consultants, private calls I wasn't looped into. When I asked, Ethan smiled that same placid smile. "You're stretched thin, Sam. Let me handle the business side." Then, one night while running a system audit, I found my own code, rewritten, rebranded, stripped of attribution. They had even renamed the security modules, legacy modules. My name was nowhere. I remember staring at the screen, pulse steady, not angry, just cold, detached, like a surgeon examining a tumor. That's when I decided to dissect it. The plan took shape quietly, the kind of quiet that hums before a storm. Ethan thought firing me would bury me under NDAs and humiliation, but I knew every system artery of Aegis, every failsafe, every undocumented branch he'd pretended didn't exist. I had built it for war. He had turned it into a trophy. Step 1, retrieve my failsafe. A subroutine buried so deep it looked like a ghost in the network. Step 2, create a shadow version. An autonomous monitoring layer that reported directly to me, off-grid, untraceable. Step 3, wait. While Ethan paraded Aegis in front of Pentagon liaisons, I watched from a distance. The system's behavior metrics began to drift. Tiny anomalies that looked like harmless calibration issues. In truth, I was feeding it noise, random threat data, false positives, minor logic conflicts. Nothing fatal, not yet. Then came the press release, his victory lap. Aegis Defense secures $15 million Pentagon contract under CEO Ethan Keller's leadership. I waited 6 weeks, long enough for confidence to breed negligence. The first phone call came on a Thursday morning, then another, then 10 more. Defense contractors, Pentagon supervisors, everyone demanding answers. Aegis had misclassified an internal training network as an active cyber assault. The system had auto-locked live infrastructure, freezing half a dozen critical servers. Millions lost, contracts suspended. I watched from my apartment as his empire unraveled on live news feeds. Technical malfunction, he said. Legacy code conflict. There it was again. Legacy. By the time he realized the subroutine wasn't a malfunction, but a mirrored failsafe protocol, one that he couldn't access, it was already too late. The Pentagon suspended all contracts pending review. Investors fled. And then, as he scrambled to restore access, Aegis initiated its final command, the one tied to ownership credentials. All root control reverted to me. He called that night. I let it ring once before answering. "Sam, what did you do?" His voice cracked, the arrogance gone. I preserved the system, I said. You corrupted it. He inhaled sharply. You'll ruin both of us. Maybe, but at least the truth will survive. That's more than I can say for your company. There was silence. Then the faint, broken sound of a man realizing he was expendable in his own machine. I hung up. The Pentagon reopened negotiations 3 months later, not with Aegis Defense, with Legacy Systems, LLC. My company, my terms. I hired a small team, people who still believed in purpose over profit. I didn't need 15 million. I just needed the truth restored under the right name. Sometimes I think about Ethan, sitting in that empty office, staring at the ruins of what he stole. I wonder if he understands now that fresh thinking doesn't mean forgetting who built the foundation. Legacy doesn't fade. It waits. And sometimes it calls back when your phone starts ringing.